agency known as the United Foundation of Order, UFO. It is not readily known how many agents the UFO employs, but they do have offices nationwide. Superhumans, not deemed useful, are registered with the government, and they often find employment in the private sector using their otherwise benign abilities.
Join us as we explore this universe of endless possibilities with superheroes, Cyclopean, Arctic Blast, and Violet Vamp, voted most popular by our fans at the conventions and shows we attended over 2019, as they confront the weirdest of the weird.
Okay, Mindy, what is your emergency?
I need help. It's my husband. He was running a fever, but then it spiked. And then he just started screaming, throwing stuff.
Has he harmed you?
Not yet, but he's searching the house for me now. Oh no, he's at the door. What should I do? I'm trapped in our storage room.
Is there any place you can hide?
Go away, Billy.
Open the damn door, Mindy. What the hell?
Billy, the cops are coming now.
What? Why are you calling the police?
Can you hear him? He's saying we help.
Ma'am, help is on the way. Stay on the phone with...
Just stay in there, Billy. Everything will be fine.
Mindy, let me out.
Trust me, Billy. Sit tight.
Open up, I'm going to kick it down.
Billy, don't.
Why the hell did you lock me in the cellar? Mindy, I love you. Whatever's wrong, I can help.
I'm trying to spare you. Why don't you ever listen to me?
Spare me? Is this about losing the baby, Mindy? I understand, babe. I'm hurting too. The doctor warned us about depression. Mindy, what's that behind your back? What the... Oh my God! No!
Unit 19, 1043, responding to 641 Parcel Street. The door's open. Let's do this. What the?
Unit 42, 641 Parcel Street, 1078. Schwartz fired.
Should we make the backup?
Negative. We are the backup. Police coming in. Hello? I hear something.
Don't know, brother. That might not be our boys. What's he doing?
Don't know.
Officer?
Is that you, Greenberg?
Carl, slow down. You've got no idea.
What is that stuck to his head? Greenberg!
Look out!
Crack!
He's tethered to the ceiling. We have to get out of here.
Officers in need of medical assistance.
Carl, we need to go now. Copy. 42, EMT en route.
Jordan, about the ceiling. Look out!
Crap. Let's make a run for the door. It's our only chance.
Jordan!
Unit 19, work. Get it off.
Hold on, bro. I gotta reload. Jordan? Jordan, no! "93 minutes later. Miss Colin, who authorized this? Who called in the feds?
It wasn't City Hall, Commish. This came from the governor's office. How many men have we lost in there, Penelope?
Yeah, but we're working on a plan to try tear gas.
It's been reported there's a monster behind it all, yes? The feds are equipped for that.
Damn it, Colin, I was dealing with this. Do we even know who they're sending us?
Not exactly, just some members of the UFO.
Jeez, this is gonna be a cluster.
Medical Commissioner Burns consider this a gift. It's plausible deniability. Let's go, team. Move out.
This way, ma'am.
I'm looking for Commissioner Burns. We've come to save the day.
Cyclopean, Dr. Odin Zeus, and Violet Vamp, Arctic Blast.
We are the UFO.
United Foundation of Order. I'm Commissioner Burns.
We need some information before we begin. Whatever you need, we're here to assist.
I reviewed all available details on your event while in transit. Have you evacuated neighboring residents yet? No, we felt calling a shelter in place was appropriate. That's not good enough. Evacuate the residents and shut down electricity to the buildings. I can't just... Sir, there's no time to explain. If you refuse to cooperate, not only will I have to declare federal martial law, you will be responsible for more victims. This is ridiculous. I'll do as you ask, but don't threaten me. This is all new for us here in Rochester. That wasn't a threat. Comply, or you and your police force will be removed. That's the reality.
Ouch, Doctor. Never gentle. But thank you, Dr. Oz.
Start in
This
about
is your
2
fault.
minutes.
You have 9 minutes, Burns. It looks like another house squid. She appears to be similar to the creature we took down in San Antonio last month.
And we had another unit take one down in Utah a few days ago.
So what's our plan of attack? We know how messy these house squids are. You and Cyclopean are first in. If Things go south. Vamp and I are right behind you. Remember to keep an eye on the ceilings. It's how she extends her range. She's sneaky. If she drops on your head, ugh, I hate brain leech mutations. She's already assimilated 8 officers. We want this one alive, so think diplomatically.
We're still trying to trace the combination for this one, so it's essential we learn what we can from her before these house squids start popping up faster than we can deal with them.
We got it. She's not just another crazy rage out. Let's go. Let's stick to the plan and get this over quick. Okay, Captain AC. You say okay, but I mean it this time. Let's do it right. And don't call me that if it ever caught on. I'm tired of being docked because we get out of hand. Ooh, ceiling sludge confirmed. I'll give that some ice. Don't kill him, Sight. I'll duck through this mess while he takes these 2 down. We've got to find the woman, Mindy. Looks like I found a few more ceiling zombie Cyclopean, and I've got it covered. Sorry, guys, but this lane's closed. Heck, I'm not even sure why you're here, Sight. I mean, I freeze them faster than you can beat them down. Oh, she's good. But I am better. There you are, freezing up the ceiling. She dropped one of those tentacles on my head. Me too, but it couldn't get through my skin, so I choked it off. I froze mine, but I got a glimpse of what her victims are going through. Bad? Not exactly. She's tapping into their psyche, offering the illusion of fantasy fulfillment. They don't even realize what's really happening. You should let me lead the rest of the way. I am impervious to her power. We've only got a few rooms left on this floor. Yeah, but I'm thinking she's just down the hall. I know you don't have a nose, but something really smells up ahead. Just another reason for me to go first. It's not going to bother me. Hey guys, it's worth noting, we've never associated foul odors with house squids.
She's got 8 cops in there with her. Maybe one of them clapped their pants?
No, it smells like an overload of mint, I think, but it's repugnant.
Come on out, we need to assess the situation.
Sight, wait!
I know you're there. You might as well come on in.
Too late, Oz. Sight just went in. I think we're making contact.
Cyclopean network back to work.
He can't hear you. He's deaf, remember?
That's exactly why you were supposed to take point, Arctic.
We're gonna get docked again.
Cyclopean and Arctic Blast has been following the news, but they didn't know.
Jordan, pass it. Jordan.
Mindy, Turner, you called 911?
They say I'm a radar monster.
We're live right now.
Oh, ma'am, just calm down and try to discuss the options.
Push, Jimmy.
Proceed, Arctic. Stay alert. This approach is new for us all. It's we're in the middle of the mutation of press calls or radio, but we're here to help.
But killing me?
No,
All right.
we want to help you.
Have you seen Twitter on finally convicted of murder, but no one's dead? There's a very mutual engagement happening here. Don't we have a right to assemble privately?
Wow. The radio isn't trying to reason her way out of this, is she? Listen, I know you're scared, but I need you to trust me. We can help you. God, that minty stench. On this tablet, I have an electronic contract offering you the full protection and assistance of the United Foundation of Warriors should you agree to voluntarily turn yourself over to our custody.
What if I refuse?
We will forcefully extract you.
Well, that sounds unpleasant.
It's not the preferred choice.
But I'm hideous and mutating and I'm rooting into this house. No one can help me. I'm a little weak, stuck, and we both know it.
No worries. We've got the greatest mind on earth outside, Dr. Odin Zeus. He has a surgical method. What?
My phone went up there and you just sit here.
You won't be seen over there.
Fantastic. If you just sign on the red line there. Hey, OZ, did you copy Mrs. Turner? Voluntarily submitting. I did it, Sight. Yes, you are amazing, Arctic Blast. I am truly amazed by you. Thanks for saying so, buddy. Hey, OZ, do you copy? Wait a second. What did you say? I said you are amazing, Arctic Blast.
Oh no, there's something wrong.
I'm just letting this finish out its run. It's almost over, guys.
Yes to breaking free. Arctic, what's happening there? We're scared.
Did you find the live
I
event?
don't know, Bam.
No, honey,
Looks like
I'm
she's
looking for
raging.
it.
No, we don't think it's her. It looks like it's her victim. Raging out. Coming in. Defend her till we get here.
Hey! Almost caught me off guard. I've got to be careful. I'm using my ice powers on this cop. Where did Sight go?
Really, no. Arctic, what if they're not me?
Oh, snap. Hands off the lady, Vinehead.
Well, that's supposed to be it right there.
Behind you.
Isn't that weird?
I didn't see this coming.
It's the wrong link.
Superhuman strength. I can barely breathe.
Very strange.
Bam, where's my backup?
We are fighting our way to it. Lots of these freaks are loose.
He's charging. No time to charge blast.
Copy. We have a couple of viewers watching right now.
Shot like that and I'm gonna have to go full Arctic. You thought all Arctic could do is understand.
Let's see. Edit post.
Where the power he can generate by compressing hot and cold air together. It doesn't take but a moment. An Arctic blast has generated the force of a thunderstorm compressed
The
in
right
a special
link.
ice ball. He calls the Arctic Boom. The result electrifies and freezes its target. That was my Arctic Boom. I didn't want to do it, but he's frozen toast now. What the? No way. Only one person's ever done this after an Arctic Boom, and that's Cyclopean.
It's almost done.
The only thing left to do is freeze his internal organs. Wait, this is wrong.
So
She's lying. You're under
here's
arrest,
where the chat will be.
Captain AC. His hands.
What are you doing?
You don't know sign language, do you, Mrs. Turner? That's why Psyche was audibly speaking earlier, wasn't it? You see, Psyche here only speaks in sign
Now
language.
on this side, I can see the chat here.
I signed the contract.
Sorry, that became null and void when you started twisting my mind. I don't know how you did it, but I know you did.
I didn't mean to. It just happened.
Tell it to the judge lady. Take it slow, Arctic. You've been caught in her illusions. That minty smell was not just an odor. The effects are wearing off. Don't be alarmed. What the? Oh, wow. I have to clean up crew en route. We'll debrief outside with Commissioner Burns. You did it. You saw through her spell. Yeah, but what happened?
We found you fighting her, Arctic. And you were fighting us.
I'm seriously gonna get done.
Yay! And that was the world premiere of all 3 parts.
Yep, it was.
We're about to go into OBS and clean up the windows a little. Let's see. Get rid of that one. And go here. Is this
Shut
it?
my sound off.
All right. How come you're not in the picture, honey?
I don't know.
Oh, look, there you are.
There I am.
All right. So, what are we talking about tonight?
I'm not sure. You have been home. You've had today off. I've worked. You've been setting this up, so.
Well, I haven't really been setting anything up. I've been working. I'll show you guys some of the stuff I've
Well,
been
that's what
doing
I've
if you
been.
want.
You've been working, so.
Let's see. What can I show you?
I don't know. What do you want to show me?
I'll take you out of here and go in
Okay.
here. See how it's on the screen?
Oh yeah, I see it. Very cool.
So, did some work on issue 2.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to turn down this volume.
Yeah.
By the way, guys, if you're there and you want to chat, feel free. We should see you. Okay, I see Diana. This may or may not work well with Facebook.
Should I be signed into my Facebook too? Or?
I don't know. I'm just
I just realized my hair was looking really kind of.
I'm just hoping that it brings some people in. I don't know if everybody's going to be able to get in.
All right, so I'm gonna go like that. I'll go to my Facebook page and share the link. I don't know.
You haven't shared it yet?
Well, no, because I didn't have the right one.
Yeah, you did. It was weird because it kept opening up to the wrong thing. So I'm actually in Comics Life or Comic. Wait a minute, what's this called again? Let me get the name right. It is called Comic Drop for iPad. Okay.
Okay.
So I'll show you the pages I did today.
All right, that would be good.
This here is not a page I've done yet. That's just a cover sample. This was page 1, which I think I showed before. They're coming out of the wreckage there.
Yeah.
And this was page 2 that I did a lot of work on today.
Very cool.
I'm not sure if it's finished, but I am having a lot of fun with it.
Mm-hmm.
You can see it's buffered weird, can't you?
Mm.
And I'm working on this page currently in the art program, Procreate. But This is the other fun, exciting thing I'm doing right now. This is the coloring book. And I've been
That's the
showing
coloring book?
kids
Oh, there you go. Where it hasn't come up. It hasn't caught up on the screen yet.
things that I've been doing with it, and I've noticed that they all want to learn how to make the comics. So I'm going through. You'll notice that there's no letters on this.
Well, you're gonna.
They're going to be
you go.
coloring.
Now you guys can see it.
No, they can see it on time. It's just weird. We see it before they do.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that. I'm sorry.
They're scripting, and here they're going to start to color in keeping in mind where the word balloons would go. This is going to show them how to script on a page by hand. And then this will show them the other side, what we chose as a script versus what they might write based on the plot that we have up here in the dialogue. Ultimately, though, they're going to get to create characters. They're going to get to letter their own stuff.
It's a very cool book.
Well, we're going to walk them through all the stages.
Yeah.
And
what
then if
ages
it's popular, we'll continue to do that.
are you shooting for? What ages are you shooting for this book? Do you have
Somewhere between the age of 3 and 100.
3 years old?
Yes.
A 3-year-old wouldn't be able to do this.
But with mom's help, they might.
Okay.
Now, my goal is just to anybody who wants to get started, you know, whether you're 10 or whether you're 100, literally, I want to give you the tools so you can at least get the concept of how it's done. I don't expect this to be an exhaustive lesson. It's just a guy sharing his way of doing it, you know. I do know that every student that I've shown it to has been very excited. And I'm looking forward to presenting it as an after-school program.
Good.
So what other big news do we have today?
I worked all day. I ran a day camp for kids.
That's not comic news, honey.
You didn't say what other comic stuff. We went to go see, that's not really comic either.
Well, it's still kind of related.
Sonic. We went to go see Sonic. It was okay. It wasn't bad. It's definitely a kids show. Definitely for kids.
Yeah, definitely for kids.
There's no adult humor whatsoever, which is okay because it's a kids show and that's a good thing. I was a little.
But it didn't have like any humor like
it.
Shrek might have.
Yeah, like it didn't have any, or even Pokemon.
And it was like an hour and 39 minutes. It felt like it could have been an hour.
Is it Detective Pikachu?
Detective Pikachu definitely had a much better story.
Yeah. But it wasn't horrific. I think your little person will like it a lot. There were a lot of kids there, and they were laughing their little tails off.
They loved it.
So
a
funny.
lot of little toilet humor, like when he farts. Ah, ha, ha, ha.
Yeah, all the kids laughed about that.
The thing about it was, I felt like I had to go see it because I really respected the way the producer listened to fans when they first saw the first trailer and said, "Oh, that model is horrible."
Yeah.
The CG model, the computer graphic model.
Right.
So they changed it, and that was wonderful. We're not getting any talkers. We've got 5 people watching. So listen, guys, if you want to throw in a chat so we can see that you're there, that would be great.
Yep.
I can only see that people are looking. And I understand it's a little different than Facebook, but the video signal seems stronger.
Yep.
It looks like it's a higher definition.
I think what you can do, if you have our Facebook pages, you can always send us a private message if you're not sure on how to do it, and we can walk you through on how to chat. I'm looking at mine, and it just kind of pulls up, and the chat window is to the left. So we'd love to hear from you if you're out there watching us.
Yep.
We do this show weekly. If you're a new viewer, Chris.
We've been doing it on Facebook for over a year now.
Yeah, we're trying to shift it over to YouTube.
Right. Well, YouTube has some advantages. For one, my Christopher Tamulevich channel has over 2,000 subscribers, so true. I think we might actually be able to receive super chats if anybody feels so inclined. I don't have them enabled intentionally, but if it's there, it's there. I don't know.
I don't know
but I think the chat feature works better. I think everything in YouTube is more oriented for this. Like it runs at a higher resolution, so the artwork looks better. The stream may have frozen though.
Well, did it?
Looks like it did on my end. Could just be my computer freezing up for the moment.
Well, I'm gonna refresh it. Maybe that'll work.
Well, it's working on yours. It's not gonna adjust mine.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, you can't.
Duh.
Yeah.
That was kind of. That was lame. So who
What the heck is that noise?
I don't know.
What the heck is that?
That's really weird. It's like a clunky noise coming from our bathroom area. Or maybe the furnace. We're not sure. But Chris went to go check it out. It was just this weird, like grinding noise. Hopefully it's not the furnace. Oh, Lord. So anyway, so it's a frosty Monday night where we live. Chris has been working super hard today on the comic strip and the comic book and putting the new videos together that he, if you were watching earlier, we had fun recording the video, recording the comic book. We're not voice actors, obviously, but it was a lot of fun that Saturday afternoon. We just kind of read through the book and recorded it, and he's tweaking it. So,
I'm back.
do we know what it is?
Your washing machine.
Oh, now we know the source of the racket.
Okay, what were you saying?
I was just talking about the comic book video, or read along.
To yourself,
read
though.
along, yeah, to myself.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody's even there.
Well, maybe they're, maybe they're busy tonight. That's okay. There's 4 people watching, so it doesn't matter. The thing is, we want to have some dialogue. We would love for people to, ask us questions about what is Hero Shack up to in the year of 2020. Well, I'll tell you what. We have a booking for each month to a Comic-Con. Our first booking for the year this year, 2020, is in March. We're going to the Boxborough Northeast Comic-Con. We're very excited about that. It's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday event. Very family friendly, very cost friendly as well. So we will be out there. We have a couple bookings in April. If you go right to our website, HeroShack.com, you will go under features, and you will find all of the places that we will be at. And I'm actually going to throw that link up there just to help you guys out, because that's kind of what we do, our coming events. So, dead air, that's the worst ever.
Well, there is no dead air. You're talking. And
Chris
in the background, you
is
can
very
probably
funny.
see I'm messing around with the iPad, which I've actually connected to the computer, which is using OBS.
You already said that. Right? Did we already talk about that?
Last week, yeah.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. So I've just got it all hooked up together in a weird fashion. We still haven't done much with the camera angle, but that's all right, because I'm not that worried about that.
No.
In fact, the only one that needs to be on camera is my wife.
I don't think so. But I do want to say the reason for this show is so we can reach out into the world and start dialogues about Hero Shack and talk about comic books. We have been talking about reading a comic book and doing a little bit of kind of a review.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been so busy trying to get this Hero Shack in Search of Heroes first book done and edited properly that we have not really had the time to sit and read a book. We haven't picked one out to read it.
Well, I've read all the books in my collection, but like how to sit down and break it down into a positive review.
Mm-hmm.
Because I will never give anybody a totally negative review.
Well, no.
The only time I'm negative is when it's a personal thing.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a jerk, you're sure to fire me up, and I'm sure to say something. So,
right. But we don't like to do that. That's not where we want to go.
No.
So moving forward, the Hero Shack Chronicles is basically that. It's a chronicles about what Hero Shack is up to.
Right. So this week I did a lot of work. Basically, just getting into what the book will be for the children.
Right. The comic.
I did give the link out to the PDF proof to 2 more kids.
Yeah.
So that's about 5 kids right now. I have proofreading for me.
Mm-hmm.
And feedback has been phenomenal.
Yeah, the kids love it.
Yeah, regardless of the type of negative comments you can get on social media, if you've got kids feeding back and they like it, you know you're onto something.
Right.
Because they tell you the truth.
Mhm.
They'll tell you if they don't think
Yeah,
it's
kids
good.
will be brutally honest, like,
They
yeah,
always are,
no
you know?
thanks. No thanks, Mr. T.
Yeah.
Mr. T, that's really not what we want. But they've been very favorable, so
Yeah.
that's good. That's really good. So we're encouraged by that. You know, we are a small indie comic book, as you can tell. Second year out on the arena of independent comic books, so we're very pumped. I'm really pumped about this year. It'll be our second time around. The comic, sort of the comic, how do you say? It's not a cart. It's not really a coloring book. It's like a do it.
No, it's gonna be. It's gonna teach. It's gonna be
Would you have a name
show
for it
you
yet?
how to make a comic type thing. I'll probably do one, or I'll probably do several. But so far, this is the only one I have plans for.
Yep.
As questions, comments, and concerns come in, I'll improve the book.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be like edition 1, edition
Right.
2, with revisions.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole idea is to try to help a kid who wants to make a comic see how it's done. I wish I had something like that when I was a kid. Marvel Comics had their How to Draw Comics
Yeah.
the Marvel way.
Mm-hmm.
They even had a tryout book, which if we have some success with this, I've already talked to Diana. I want to make a full 11-17.
Yeah, he does. He wants to go the full.
Yep, I want to go the full Monty.
The full Monty. I was just gonna say
Yep,
that. The
and
full
let
Monty.
them see exactly how it's done.
Mm-hmm.
But I also want to do this with the iPad because at this point, the iPad's my main gig.
Yeah.
I don't even touch paper and pencil right now.
I know.
And I'm happy that way.
Me too, because it
But
saves money.
Well, and it changes things too because I don't do true pencils anymore. I do roughs. And then my inks are my pencils. And then I layer more ink on until I
Mhm.
feel like it looks like a comic book, you know?
Right. But I think one of the biggest things about Hero Shack is we do want to make it kid friendly. Our primary focus is that any child, if they pick up a book of ours, pick up a comic book, pick up the, how do you draw comics, their parents are not going to be upset. I know
Well, not just the parents. I'm going to go ahead and say this, but I'm a big believer in we're responsible for each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand that there are formats, there are comics, there are movies,
Mm-hmm.
obviously made for adults. I get that.
Right.
But when we're dealing with children, especially with comic books, I feel like we owe the legends something. I feel like there was a kingdom that I grew up in that was safe and
Mhm.
educational. It didn't shy away from real life, but yet it didn't make it a political statement every time I turned around. I really enjoyed that. So I'm looking to create a universe where children can just feel comfortable in, know that there will be challenges that they can learn from,
Mm-hmm.
but nothing so overwhelming that it robs them of that innocence that makes
Right.
the adventure so much fun.
Right. No, it's true.
You know, and I think a comic should be able to be picked up by a kid who's just learning to read
Mm-hmm.
or a 30-year-old man and enjoyed. If it's written well, if it's
Mhm.
drawn well, it doesn't need to turn to vulgarities to be funny, and it doesn't need to go super soft to just attract little kids.
Mhm.
There's a happy medium. PG movies do it all the time, so there's no reason comics can't do it again because they
Right.
used to be that way.
So our characters in this upcoming series of Hero Shack in Search of Heroes
Yeah.
are pretty much 4 of the main characters that came out in the Sandbox issue. So Cyclopean is
Well,
probably
the
our
series
biggest,
Sandbox was a 4-issue
right,
series.
the series. I apologize. The
That's all
series.
right.
But I think Cyclopean is, in my humble opinion, one of our more popular characters with the kids.
Well, he stands out right away, and they immediately empathize with someone who looks as goofy as he does.
Right.
I think that's something that hits
Mhm.
right on the head. Now, he doesn't have ears and he doesn't have a mouth, so obviously he's a deaf mute, and
Right.
that is something else that, as the kids are picking up on, they're really excited about because it was unexpected. Now in Sandbox, I didn't give him sign language; I let
Right.
him use telepathy.
Mm-hmm.
But the more I thought about it, I wanted to bring Cyclopean's powers down. I wanted to make
Right.
him more relatable, and it was already built into him. I didn't have to depower him. I had to just let him simply be who he looks to be, which is a one-eyed monster. So that was kind of neat.
I just put the link up for them to see it.
See what?
Cyclopean, because if they're watching it and they don't know who Cyclopean is, I put the link up. I don't know if you can click on the link or copy and paste it into a new window, but if you do that, you'll get his profile, and it talks a little bit about who he is.
We can do that here, you know.
Well, I can't, but I was trying. You can. I can't reach over and do all that funny stuff. I don't have that much tech savviness. I'm lucky I can use my laptop.
Well, it's just because of the way I have everything set up, of course.
This is true. So Chris is putting up Cyclopean, I think. Because I do like to talk about the different characters, and I think Cyclopean is one of our most awesome characters. I really like him. There he is. He's coming up. Ta-da! Cyclopean.
Well, now, in this series, and this also comes at the recommendation of the youth, we will be upgrading all the costumes.
Right. Which is cool.
Right. And that's been pretty much because while the characters have been well received, I've heard from a couple of kids now, I wish they had more something. Yeah. And I know what the something they're looking for is,
more
right?
something. They didn't really get specific on it, but the costumes for some of the characters.
Well, for a lot of them, they're kind of generic, and that's okay too because it gives us room to evolve and grow.
Right.
And actually, it fits right in with the story, so it's going to work out perfectly.
Yeah.
There he is, our one-eyed Cyclopean.
So there's Cyclopean. He's a very cool, very funny dude. I love his dialogue. I love his personality.
Of course, ignore the fact that you've been staring at him over our heads for the last...
Oh, yeah.
No, look at the screen.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's him. Sorry, guys.
It's funny. It's all right.
I'm Chris's sidekick. I'm not a comic book girl, per se. I do it because my husband, who I love incredibly much, is doing comic books. So I'm reading his, but like I don't go to a comic book store on a regular basis and get comic books. I just don't.
No, in fact, I don't think you've ever shopped for comics.
I do for you.
Yeah, well, at the shows, at Holy Moly's.
Yeah, I'll look for him or for the kids that I work with. Some of my younger kids do it.
They do comics?
Well, yeah, they like comics and they talk about comics and stuff. But
5 watching and nobody talking.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm going to say, chat's over here, man.
So if you're out there and you're watching and maybe they can't. Maybe they're on their phone and they can't show it.
Well, it could be quite challenging on the phone, but...
I don't know what it looks like on a phone.
Right. This is a test,
So,
and I'm enjoying it for the most part. I wish it was busier, but we have 2,000 subs on this channel, so I'm hoping to get some of them back. That was from my days of ministry, so this might throw some of them off. This isn't exactly Bible study time.
It's not, but it's still a story about good versus evil.
Well, yeah, and we can always talk about, I mean, this live stream isn't like we're doing a Bible study. We're literally talking about comics.
Right. Our comics specifically.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, we have friends that I love to talk about, but right now we're just got Cyclopean up there and I haven't done anything else with it.
No, and so the story that you're just putting out is going to print by Friday. We're
well, we got the final review.
Yep.
I have a screw up on one ad that we have to fix.
Yep.
Then I'll probably send it out tomorrow.
Yeah.
There's nothing else to wait on.
And I believe we're doing Kindle with this particular group of series. Didn't we discuss that we're going to try it? No?
You said you didn't want to do Kindle because it limited us to one.
I thought you said we were going to do it, and if we didn't like it, we didn't have to do it.
No, you didn't want to do it with the premium thing because it limits you to one.
No.
Remember we were talking about that?
Yeah.
And then we couldn't put it on other services?
Well, we weren't going to do the premium. We were going to just do the regular Kindle.
Yeah.
No. So he doesn't want to do Kindle. We're not going to force it. I
hate charging people for it. I got to get over it somehow.
Yeah, he's crazy, okay? So he's put me in charge. I am the business manager, the one who does all the managing of this business called Hero Shack. And I have an artist who doesn't want to charge for his work. But yeah, he wants to keep buying new things and investing in Hero Shack.
It comes down to kids.
And I love it.
It comes down to kids.
Kids have parents. Just saying. And those kids that aren't unable to afford it, God always puts them in your path or in your heart, and they still get a book. And if people are out there and they are in love with this book, in love with the characters, and their child wants it, and you have some financial hardship, just contact us. Does that make you feel better?
A little bit.
Okay.
But not
because we're
a lot.
not money maker, money monger, hunger, whatever you want to call it.
We want to do it full time, but we're not looking to get rich.
Right.
We're not looking to gouge.
So he wants to do it full time. He would like to move on from his current position and do this full time,
which I love, but I just think it's that time.
But he doesn't
life.
want to charge for his stuff. So
well, my idea still always is if we can get support, if people buy the books.
Oh, you want to give them away free?
Comic book people. We can give away the stuff
Where's
to the
Gary?
kids for free.
Gary, we need you here. Can you talk some sense in him? He's going down that rocky road again, and
I'm not going down that road. I'm just saying that's my dream.
It is your dream. So he wants to be basically independently wealthy. He would like to sit at home and draw all day and just give away all his stuff.
I want to make kids happy with it.
That's wonderful. I think that's very, very admirable.
Is it?
But
nobody seems to think it's a good
everybody
idea.
else in this world, including your business manager or wife, is looking at you like you have donkey ears.
Mm.
So if you have seen bits of Hero Shack, because we actually read the book, and your son or daughter or child or whoever is in love with it and would love a copy of it, and you don't have the $5 or whatever we charge,
$72 a book.
It's not $70. Just contact us. We're workable, reasonable
and you know
people.
what? Really, the easiest way is we can send you a PDF. That's what I've been doing with the kids that I've been sharing it with, and it costs me nothing. And that's great because I just want to share the thing with kids. That's my main.
And I understand that, and I love that about you. But then don't think you're going to be retiring from your current position anytime soon.
Well, I will once we can get the support in. Once we get support
How are we going to get support if you don't want people to buy it?
I want adults to buy it, and kids that can afford it to buy it.
Oh, okay. So now
and people who are but people who want to get behind something that is out there for the kids. You know what I mean? You don't know what I mean. Like when you see Girl Scouts is such a bad example anymore, but when you see charities,
$4 or a $5 box of cookies, and the cookies
it's like
have gotten
5 cookies
smaller
left.
now, and there's less in them. I'm like, I don't buy Girl Scout
every year
cookies.
it gets smaller and smaller,
I'm
and
not
a little bit more, a
buying
little bit more.
Girl Scout cookies anymore.
No, I won't.
Well, it's just the quality has gone down. The prices have gone up. The amount you get is ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
And they have cookies that are very comparable out there.
Well, I don't know, because I just stopped eating them. I was like, these really aren't as good as I thought.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, Diana and I are looking at Facebook to see if anybody's...
We normally have a few people.
And I think they may even be there.
I just feel like it's a live stream and we're worried too much about not anybody here. And we're not really worried about that. What happens is it's Chris and I, as we sit here and we bumble our way through this live stream, if we don't have comments or remarks or questions from viewers, then we tend to repeat the same stuff over and over again.
That's not ever true.
It is true. And then Chris gets really, really dorky.
Well, we could run the commercial video thing for the 12 minutes or so.
What commercial video?
The video.
The video? We just ran the video again.
In the beginning.
Yeah,
Nobody was there.
Well, it says that there are 4 people watching.
Okay, so I won't run the video.
Don't run the video. But if the 4 people that are watching, if you don't know anything about Hero Shack, or you know a little bit about Hero Shack.
But they really don't need to comment. All we need to do is keep talking. You're just hoping that they help us with the content so we don't die out.
Well, yeah. So what shall we talk about now? You're a great talker. You talk all the time.
I've got a couple of characters coming into the story. One she knows about and one she doesn't.
Oh, God. He's done it again.
No, well, one is a childhood character that I'm just determined to bring back.
Do I know who that is?
No, you don't. And the other one is Forgetta the Blue Frog.
Forgetta the Blue Frog.
That's
the
right.
Blue Frog is an actual frog. It's an actual blue frog.
It's actually quite beautiful, but it's poisonous.
Which is quite interesting.
But I really dug the look, so I'm working on a character that embodies that.
Mm-hmm.
The character is female.
Of
And
course.
she will. What do you mean, of course? She will actually, literally, be my kind of like my Spider-Man character because frogs are known to stick to things. She doesn't have a tongue like the Toad from X-Men comics, and she doesn't shoot webs, but she can jump really high and stick to stuff.
So this is what the blue frog looks like. I wish when I put these links in, you know what? I wish it would like.
It didn't post.
I know. Why?
I cannot tell you why.
Oh wow.
Let me see if I can do this right though. So you're talking about blue frogs.
Well, I wanted to show them what a blue frog. I didn't know what a blue frog. That's the one I was looking.
Yeah,
for.
I know. You thought I was joking when I first said it.
It's a beautiful blue frog too. It's very pretty. So it's poisonous. You were working on a character, and this is going to be for the next book.
Well,
correct?
it's coming up in the series.
In the series. I don't know if it'll be the next book then, but something like that.
Well, she may be in that book.
Oh, that's pretty.
I don't think I did that right though.
No, I don't think so either. So while he gets a picture of the blue
Excuse
frog, he is also, too much to my surprise, you have another character from
My childhood.
your childhood that I know nothing about. You've never mentioned it.
I've mentioned him to you, but you wouldn't even think of him.
Okay, yeah, probably not.
But I'm bringing him in
Is he gonna have
mostly
a big role, or
if he's popular.
Yeah. Okay.
The thing about it is, hang on, with me, when I look at Stanley, when I look at Jack Kirby,
yeah,
and I see what they accomplished,
Okay.
and people say, "Oh, they did all these magnificent characters." Well, part of that was because their stories were character driven. When we look at a show like, say, Supernatural, which is basically a weekly monster series. That's exactly what Stan Lee and Jack Kirby were doing. That
Right.
should be a link straight to, the frog. If you looked at every character that Stan Lee and Jack Kirby created together, some of them were really stupid. And some of the most popular ones, if you don't know anything about the character, are really stupid. Like the idea of a cosmic herald that flies through space on a silver surfboard covered in chrome himself. Sounds really stupid because surfboards you wouldn't think would be
right.
a cosmic thing. That was something created, on Earth. Nevertheless, it took off and it was very popular, and still is today. That's the Silver Surfer.
I was going to say that's the Silver
Right.
Surfer.
So
he usually quizzes me on this, and I'm thinking, I know it's Surfer.
but the point is, if you create 100 characters a year, you're bound to have anywhere between 5 and 10 that are really awesome.
You would hope.
So they did this for decades, and then we look back and we go, "Wow, they created so many great heroes." And I think to myself, and there were so many duds that you'll never know because you weren't buying them monthly. You're watching a movie where it gathered some of the most popular, and that's okay too. But I think that's part of great character creation is it's a character-driven series. It's a soap opera of sorts.
Yeah.
And the only way those can continue is through a constant influx of new characters, just like in real life.
Right.
Unless you're sitting at home doing nothing, you're going to run into new people all the time, even if it's just the cashier
Well,
at the store.
you don't want it to be stagnant. It's going to be
Right.
flowing
Yeah.
and
Well,
whatnot.
yes.
Ebb and flow.
Well, and
Which
you
is
can
good.
have character growth, and that's great too. But new characters introduce new storylines, new battles,
new dynamics.
and that's one of the biggest things about comics is the battles. So, like, if you've caught issue 1, which has already been in the read-along, you already are getting a flavor for how I like to do things. Cyclopean being deaf is the whole key to defeating the house squid in this issue.
Right.
And it was really her lack of knowledge about sign language which cued off Arctic Blast.
Right.
You're going to find out in issue 2 that they get in a bit of trouble for the destruction that they've caused to this $1 million landmark historical site.
Yep.
But things are progressing exactly the way that we want them to.
Exactly the way they're supposed to.
Yes.
Which is a good thing,
Well,
And-
I do have it all plotted out. It is all in notes.
his brain.
No, I
Oh,
have
you
it in
have
notes.
it in notes?
So if I die, you can get it. But
isn't that a lovely thought? We're not going to go there again, right? We're not going to talk about the whole. Anyway.
Well, you never know. Netflix might come when I die and say, "Can we buy a character off of you for $20, lady?" You're gonna need to know where the character sheets are and the plot lines and the.
But I don't know where any of that stuff is.
It's all hidden away in Hero Shack. Just dig through the folders; you'll find it all.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
A lot of times it's named Untitled, which is always great. I don't know why I do that.
They're very sloppy with his files.
Well, I never used to be, but now everything seems to be. I forget to title it, so it all gets listed as Untitled.
There's lots of Untitled, but one of the things that I personally love is that Chris does the whole comic himself. So he does all the artwork, he does all the coloring, he does the story.
Well, now the only thing I really don't have a lot to do with, but I have everything to do with, is the lettering, and that's because I do it on computer.
Yeah.
And talking to the kids about it.
Yeah.
I'm going to show them how to hand letter, but I don't understand the logic. And part of this is because of my philosophy on comics.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, we're in a time period where a lot of creators are taking up to 18 months to do a single issue.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the world I grew up in.
Right.
The world I grew up in, comics come out every 30 to 60 days.
Really?
Now, doing everything myself,
yeah,
I could handle the pencils,
mm-hmm.
and they could even be more detailed.
Yeah.
I could handle inking, but I couldn't do both. Yet on an iPad, I'm able to do both because I don't have to go through all the physical labor of all the different traditional methods.
So it definitely increases your speed.
Well, and then with coloring, it makes it so that I can experiment, I can work with it, I can play with it. Sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse, but I'm still learning it.
Yeah.
And with the lettering, it's just as simple as typing in my script. In fact, if I set up my script properly, it'll actually transfer directly to the comic if I set that up right.
So when you say you're still learning it, it's not that you're really learning it. You're learning different techniques. And
well, what I'm
like
doing
that,
is,
right?
I'm developing
your own style.
When it comes to colors. Always. Yeah. And I think the coloring is. Why are you stopping me?
Because you're swinging back and forth. Are you guys getting dizzy?
I think coloring is
dizzy.
more or less an evolutionary thing.
Yeah.
As you go, you might want to do more pastels. You might want to do more fluorescence. You might want to use more traditional palettes.
Yeah.
It's just so complicated and so varied.
Sorry, I was stretching.
That I consider it something that I'm still learning. I shouldn't say that because I suppose it casts the wrong image in a person's mind. But it's just something I still enjoy working with and play with a lot.
You're still developing your style and your technique and your favorable color palette. I mean, I like your colors. We have been told that some of his coloring is a little
well, over the last year, it's gotten a lot better as far as people what they think of it. In fact, the thing I still hear most of all is people wish I wouldn't script so much. They sometimes they think it's too wordy.
And I agree, but
here's the problem with that. It's not that I disagree. It's that Stan Lee, my legendary mentor in spirit, was very wordy. In fact, he was known for telling the artist what to draw.
Really?
He'd tell him the plot, and then it would come back, and he would literally script over whatever the artist wrote. Now, a lot of times it might be something as simple as he told the artist to draw Mr. Fantastic drinking a coffee. Okay, we have him drinking the coffee. It's in the art. Stan Lee would come up behind the artist and write, Reed Richards drinks the coffee, and it tastes wonderful, or something. But he would add dialogue that didn't necessarily need to be there. And I don't know why. But I always found it, especially as a kid, it was kind of reassuring and truly defining of what I was looking at. So in other words, I might think, wow, what is Reed drinking? What is Mr. Fantastic drinking? Well, Stanley's going to tell you exactly what he's drinking. You know, you might wonder, why is Peter Parker doing what's he doing exactly? The dialogue would tell you exactly. So I have that kind of thing in my head. It's really old-fashioned. I mean, it's from the 60s, so I shouldn't keep it in my head, but this is what I do. In the meantime, Diana fights and keeps things from growing too far out and tries to chop them down, which is what an editor should do, I suppose. And
I'm not very good at it because he is my husband, and we are living in the same room, the same house. We have more than one room. The same house.
We're in a one-room apartment.
And it's very challenging, and I think I think that if he had somebody out there that was editing with, he did not have a relationship with, I don't think they'd last very long. I'm just being brutally honest.
I think actually it would depend on a couple of things, like whether or not the person knew what they were doing. One of the things that makes it hard for us is because we're learning everything on the fly. Diana's learning editing on the fly. I can't really help her with that. I have ideas of what an editor is supposed to be, but like I've researched it. I've read a lot of articles, and that job varies company to company.
And I never read comic books before, so getting into the whole style of reading, I didn't even know how to read them. He's like, "Oh no, honey, you have to read them like."
Well, yeah, we were
so
having issues with direction,
I was like, oh my god!
But it was embarrassing, but it was also helpful because what it did was it made me more conscious of balloon placement.
Right.
Where I would trust on someone understanding how I would expect a balloon to flow.
Right.
When she had no idea, I said, "Wow, I should address that," because just because, and this is weird, but just because I have that expectation, right. I don't even know if modern readers do. I'm still reading books like it was 1985.
I know. You need to get with he needs to get with the program.
I don't think I do, though. I think the program.
Well, if you talk to your millennial children and
yes, but I think we need to return to 80s and early 90s styles.
Yes, it's you guys that have to change, not him.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I believe that for an all ages market, those were the prime years. Those were the best years of John Byrne and Chris Claremont on the X-Men.
In the 80s.
Well, into the 90s, yeah. No, well, Byrne's biggest years were probably in the 80s, but John Byrne, George Perez, Frank Miller, these are all guys that I hold close to my heart and that I loved as artists and still do.
Right.
Even though Frank Miller's gone a little abstract lately.
I don't know.
I'm just saying. People who read Frank Miller will know exactly what I'm saying. But
true.
In the 80s, these guys were top notch. In the 90s, you got a lot of like Jim Lee, Todd McFarlane, and Rob Liefeld. And they were fantastic as their sales would demonstrate. But as much as I love them, I see them all as kind of being born out of the 80s artists.
With their own
Jim Cochran.
But they're great artists. They're very good artists. All the ones you mentioned.
Oh, I've not mentioned one that's not yet. Yeah, no, they are all fantastic. In fact, it's kind of funny because it's like I'm just throwing around legendary names. It's not like I'm throwing out anything rough to understand.
Why don't we put up another one of my favorite characters? Let's take a look at Violet Vamp. Now, Violet Vamp, as we go along in our series, there's going to be a little bit of a twist to her.
She's already evolved off of this costume.
She's evolved. The costume that you're looking at right now, she doesn't really look like that.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
She is purple, and the mask is similar, but I've changed a lot of the... For instance, she was in a skirt.
Yeah.
And I had a really hard time drawing the skirt in battles.
Right.
For obvious
reasons.
Right.
Yes.
She did at one time have like a cloak and a little vest thing, as you can see there.
Yeah.
And that didn't work in battle either, so I got rid of that. And now I'm working on ways to make her cooler. Like we're adding a logo. Yeah.
She's a little heavier too, I think.
Yeah, she's definitely heavier.
She's definitely heavier.
But that's just the way I'm drawing women. They're getting thicker.
I think that her character and the way it's going to unfold in the next book or two, I think it's going to be really cool. I think the audience is going to like it. This is his first version of Violet Vamp, but I personally like it. But the one that we're using now that's in the book, if you look at what she's wearing here, and then you go back to the book, or you can go back to the read-along.
Well, the one in the book is more of a superhero spandex leotard thing.
Which is fine, which is totally fine. But when he first initially created Violet Vamp, it was one of my favorites.
She may go back to something closer to the original.
Well, can't we have different outfits? Like,
there are things that I have in store that you guys don't know about yet.
Right.
So if you know the story of Violet Vamp, she is claimed to be a half vampire, vegetarian, well hooked up in Hollywood. She's a fashionista. Is that the word? Fashionista.
She likes to dress well.
Right. So I really don't want to say too much.
Right.
But in issue 2, our main characters, Cyclopean, Arctic Blast, and Violet Vamp, are going to find themselves in a situation where they will be able to upgrade their costumes to meet more of their flash and style.
Yeah.
The costumes were not so flashy because they were provided by the UFO. The UFO is the federal government's sort of Bureau of Supernatural Investigations, sort of. As agents of the UFO, they were provided these costumes that are extremely durable, but not very creative.
Right.
So they're going to get a chance to jazz
kind of like,
that
yeah,
up.
all right, well, whatever.
It works.
But I do like, well, number one, purple is my favorite color.
Yeah.
I like the whole vampire, sort of vegetarian vampire theme going on with her. And I just like her, another personality that I really enjoy. But then we have, I think, a fan favorite, Arctic Blast.
Which was a surprise. Our Boston College football player really did well, not only in the voting, but people would read his little summary and get excited. I didn't put him in Boston College or as an alumni of the college to do that, but I was surprised at how much people got into that. When I write the backgrounds, I usually, number one, I try to relate them to someplace I've either lived or been, which means it's up and down the East Coast, all these little towns and stuff. But sometimes I like to look at, like, I've gone and looked at Midwestern towns and literally pull them up on Google, do the street searches, look at all the buildings, read everything you can on it, and go, I think I'm going to put this guy from this place. And that makes for a touch. I think it's great when you can kind of look at something at a person's local, and state
help the creative process, I would imagine.
Well, I just want to make a connection with readers in that area. So, like, if I'm doing Rochester, New York, there are certain things I try to put in there so that somebody from Rochester, New York might go, oh, I know where that street is.
Right.
I get the hiccups.
I know. Hold your breath. 1, 2, 3.
No, you're supposed to scare me. Do you have a mirror? Get it? That's not scary.
Yeah, sorry, guys.
You say guys. How many we got looking now?
We have, like, it looks like we have 5 people watching.
Oh, we have like 5,000 viewers.
Oh, yeah, we do.
We do. That's
Nobody's
awesome.
Talking. It's a quiet Monday night.
It's not quiet. It's been quite noisy. I hear voices all night long.
That's always comfortable to hear.
It's awesome. You know what they say? Go to sleep. I have been doing more sleeping, but I think that's a positive.
Yeah, I think you're...
As some of you know, we've already been on a while. I'm trying to quit smoking, and the last pack lasted me 4 days.
Really?
Yes, I got that Friday morning when I was mad at you. Wasn't that Friday morning I did that?
You're mad at me every other day. I don't know.
No, Friday morning was the...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were mad at me that morning. Yeah, it was one of those mornings.
Yeah, or was that even Thursday morning?
It was
Friday.
It was a grumpy Friday morning for us here in our home. And that's okay.
Because we're allowed to get that way sometimes.
We're married old people. We'll be married 15 years in March, so we've been through a few...
It's been the happiest 18 years of my life.
We've been through a few rodeos in our relationship,
that's right.
And that's okay.
Remember, guys, when you're married 21 years, you'll know exactly how it feels.
He's not,
Yeah, because, 28 years together sounds like a lot, but it feels like 15.
Yeah, in 50 years. I'm waiting for that. So, back to
I
comics.
would never say something like that. Come on. After 32 years, I can be honest about how long we've been married.
Now he's trying to get... You'll notice as the hour gets on, Chris gets a little goofier and goofier and goofier. But in all honesty, it's okay, because we love him like that. You're out of coffee. That means we're almost done.
No, it was weird. It wasn't really...
I don't know. Now we're going to unscrew our coffee cup.
I wanted to see. I thought there might have been a rat in there.
So we don't do a whole lot of... It is called Hero Shack Chronicles, and you would think that we would sit here and we'd have a whole chronicle list of things that we're going to talk about. We don't. Usually I'm rushing in from work, or he's rushing in from work, and we
a few things
get
happen
here and we
tonight.
talk.
Normally, we have a couple of shows planned, but we haven't done anything new on that front.
Right.
I did finish the 3rd episode of the Hero Shack in Search of Read Along.
Yes, you did.
And then I had to edit it into one long version so everybody can just watch it in one sweep if you want.
Okay.
And that took me much longer than I thought. I was getting that done right up till 8 o'clock.
Right, that's true.
In the meanwhile, I've been doing the How to Draw Comics book, and I've been doing issue 2 of In Search of. issue 1's been done, but we've been waiting on a proof to come back, and we just got it back.
Yep.
The
Okay.
point being is usually while I sit here at night and she says we don't have any idea, I always have some ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Tonight I really didn't have that many ideas because I was like, well, what have I done? I got to get this done. I got to get that done. For instance, she did the...
Brother John says hello.
Brother John, God bless you, man. Thanks for joining us.
Brother John, yes. Hey, Chris,
She
how
did
are
a
you?
Violet Vamp prototype
I did.
that came out horribly.
I have been trying to work on character dolls, like little plush character dolls. So I have sort of gotten Cyclopean done. Violet Vamp, on the other hand, it was supposed to be a violet. It was supposed to be part of his little Valentine Day thing, but my week has been crazy. When we won't even get into that, I've been working full time and crazy stuff after surgery. So my Violet Vamp doll failed epically for the first one. Yes, Brother John, we do remember you from the good old days. How
I
the
sure
heck
do.
are you? So that is our Cyclopean. That's my Cyclopean, what do you like to call it? Prototype.
In fact...
And it has this little, see, it's got this there. What are you doing, honey? Oh, this is the guy that sent it to us,
I
right?
think, if I'm not mistaken, Brother John might have sent us that.
No, I don't think it was. I think it was a younger kid, maybe.
No, I thought it was John. Ask
John,
him.
did you send that?
Somebody sent it. I thought it was John. See if you remember that. It might not have been you, but I thought it was. Now my wife's like, you took it off the wall, and now we got to get it back up
Just
there.
put it down for now. I'll get it up there. We got a T-shirt. We believe
It was missing the fruit of the spirit.
Yep.
Yep.
It was missing the fruit of the spirit.
Now remember, he can't see it for a few seconds.
Oh,
like
yeah.
it's just showing it there.
Right.
So we
So-
won't know until.
So John, if that was you that sent us the no, it wasn't. I didn't think it was.
Who was it then?
I don't remember. I have it written down somewhere. But at any rate,
Well, I've been thinking it was you for years, John. So that's kind of cool.
so we have our one Cyclopean doll. So my thought is when we go to these Comic Cons, we can actually have little plush.
We'll have multiple dolls.
We're hoping.
No, we will, unless they sell. But I think what I really think is the comic book, How to Draw the Comic Book coloring book,
Yeah, it's gonna be.
is going to be a bigger seller than we think.
Yeah. I think
So far, every kid I've shown it to has gone hog wild. Parents are behind it.
Yeah.
Our local CPAC wants to get behind it. There's a lot of stuff going on with that.
Yeah.
And I'll go that route because I'm good with kids. I can
Right.
show them how to do this
Absolutely.
stuff.
You're very good with kids. You know.
So, I mean, anybody who knows me, particularly if you're from Twitter, you know that I'm a kid advocate. So, yeah, that's where I go with it. What you doing? Oh, you're talking, aren't you?
Mm-hmm.
That's good. But yeah, so it's been a busy week. A lot of finalizing of the projects. We have the show coming up. I believe it's either the 11th or the 19th of March. Which one?
It's March 15th.
15th. Wow, I was way off.
March 19th is our anniversary for 15 years. That's
I knew it was something like that, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
15th or 19th. But that show will be our first of the year.
Mm-hmm.
I've said this every week, but I'll say it again. That was the very first show I ever attended
Mm-hmm.
as just a customer going in to see what a show looked like. I said that I wanted to be at that show again as a vendor by the end of the year.
Yeah.
Diana and I set out to start teaching ourselves how to do this. We had these banners made. There's 2 of them. And we started hanging them up on rafters that we put behind us. Little.
They weren't rafters, it was a stage setting.
Well, I don't know what you call it, but
That's okay.
there were a rack where we hung these things, and we started going show to show.
Yeah.
Started producing what I would now call kind of questionable quality comics, but at the time I loved them.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's going to be my hallmark my whole career. I always think the ones I'm doing are my best, and they are. But then a year later, I look back at them and I go, don't really listen to me. They were fun. They're still fun. If you want to get into an indie series from the very beginning, Sandbox is a great way to check it out.
Yeah.
But I must tell you, I am so excited about this new issue.
Yeah.
It looks so much
The
better
new
than...
series, I think, art-wise, has really improved. there's a lot more depth to it.
Well, and even
storyline
writing
is better.
Yeah,
the storyline is tighter, I think.
and one of the reasons we've been able to improve that is last year I was trying to put out a page every day. And that's fine. But what would happen was I would draw for 3 or 4 days straight. And that page I drew on the first day, I might want to change something. And then it was too late because I had already presented it to the public. It was already in stone, so to speak. With this, I can do 4 or 5, 6, 10 pages, send them to her. And if we get a change of heart or want to move something around, it's not too late because the public hasn't seen it. They're not filled with expectations. In fact, with this first issue of Hero Shack in Search of, one day I will present you guys with the original art that is no longer in that issue. Originally in the story, instead of just the cops going in and outside we hearing screams and gunshots, there was a whole series of like 6 pages where the cops actually tried to deal with the squids inside. And ultimately one cop gets locked in a closet, hiding out, sending messages to the police outside. I took that out because basically it had no relevance to the overall story. It was kind of a fun little scene, but it wasn't going to advance the story. It was just eating up paper.
Right.
And I already eat up 4 sheets doing advertising in the book that we don't get paid for. So at some point, I do have to say, well, we still got to print this thing. I got to draw a line on how many ads we have in there this week or this month. Not that I will ever stop doing that, but like if I could, I'd probably have 10 pages of ads with my comics, which would be not very smart. Were you going to say something?
Well, somebody did contact me through Facebook, and they don't comment during live chats on YouTube. They don't want other people to know their information and whatnot.
I don't understand, but I accept it. You know, it's cool.
And so, yes, we are definitely still together, John. Very happily married.
Oh, yeah, yeah. You know? The claws, she took the claws out of my back, so I'm no longer chained. She trusts me to stay.
That's so unfair.
Yes, it's just shackles on the ankles now.
Yeah, just shackles. No,
we're very happily married. We are in love.
Yep, we are.
Me more than her because, of course, you know, she's prettier than I am.
She loves me more, obviously.
She loves me more. Is that what you just said?
She loves me more.
Yes, I have been growing out the hair. This is for the shows and for my midlife crisis that I'm going through. Plus, I have this thing about Jesus' hair. I know he had long hair, so I feel more strong with hair.
I don't know.
Like Samson.
Some Samson.
Yes.
Samson thing. But yes, we are still together. We have run the gamut with God Chat, and
we did the street ministry for a couple of few
about
years
2.5 years.
Yeah.
We did that. We were out in our town and just sharing Jesus' love with everybody, and then God sort of moved us from that.
Well, when my mom died,
genre,
it really changed the whole dynamic.
It really did. And so right now he is pursuing his comic book and love of comic books and drawing comic books, and we both still work full time, of course. And
well, I think God has brought me out from a very dark cloud with my art. I think it has a lot to do with my wife and her pushing, and Rabbi Peter and his encouragements earlier last year. And recently it's just grown into, it almost feels like you have a superpower. And when you're talking to kids and they're down and you pull out a pencil and you start drawing and their eyes light up, or they ask you to draw. I was asked to draw a wolf and an eagle for 2 different kids, and they were so excited to get it.
Yeah.
Sometimes the prints. I just gave away a Pokemon print to a little girl that I absolutely adore. She's one of my favorite students. I gave away a Godzilla print to one of my little buddies who I check in with every day.
Yeah.
And I know I owe at least one Donatello to one young man if I can remember to bring it. Now, what's funny is these run $10 to $20 on a show, and I kind of give them out. When my wife's not looking, I like to sneak them out, roll them up, and run down to the school and give them away because
yeah, he does.
I love kids.
I'm going to have to start locking up the supplies. So, John, he actually has always loved comic books. And I think, you know, as a younger guy, he did a lot of it, but he didn't draw it much. I mean, he weren't really into drawing comics.
No, I was. When I was all the way up until about 22, I was pursuing a career with Marvel.
Oh, that's right. And then you got the slam dunk. Forgot about that.
One summer I got hurt, and I sent probably a dozen submissions to John Romita Sr. And finally I got this very polite no thank you letter from him telling me I should be sending it into a submissions editor, but that I wasn't ready for Marvel. Now, at that time, I didn't have any support, and I had no idea that I was autistic or Asperger's as I was originally diagnosed.
Mm-hmm.
So really what happened, I just kind of gave up, and I went into graphic arts, and I kind of honed some of my design skills there. But I stayed away from drawing because I believed it was in part breaking one of the 10 Commandments, and that is thou shalt not make a graven image. Now you might say, well, a graven image, that's stoned in and you got to worship it, whatever, whatever. I looked at a pencil, and when it wrote on that paper, it was engraving it. Now, okay, everybody can have a good laugh at Mr. T now here, but when I draw an iPad, there is no graving. It's glass. And all I'm doing is pecking along a touch sensor. For some reason, that makes me feel far more free in the presence of God. Now, I'm sure that, don't get me wrong, I'm sure God's not sending any artist to hell for making graven images with pencils and pens. Nope. But somehow in my heart, it's another thing that the iPad makes me feel good about. Because I'm not making graven images. Even when I print them, it's just sprayed on there. It's not, you know what I mean? It's not engraved.
So let's preface this by saying that he is diagnosed with high-functioning autism, and he thinks very much outside the box, which I absolutely love about him.
Well, I take a lot of things quite literally. Like
he's very, very
literal. And this is going to sound weird because I'm extremely patriotic. I love my country. I love the people that fight for it.
Yeah.
I cannot say the Pledge of Allegiance. Matthew 5:34 is quite clear. We're not supposed to swear oaths. And when I hear it, I feel guilty. So what I do is I stand in attention. I lower my head. I put my hands behind my back. But I can't pledge an allegiance because anything more than yes or no comes from the evil one. Remember?
Yes, I do remember.
Now, I take that quite literally. So literally that when we got married, we really didn't exchange a promise back and forth. We just simply stated that we would stay together because I was that far against vows. I was like, I can't make a promise like that. You know, all I can say is I will be with you forever. But that blew up in my face anyways because I was going to get a Jewish rabbi to do it. And I've written Yahweh into the vows, and he refused to say the word Yahweh. He was actually upset that I made him read it because it was like sacrilegious to him. So he sent his wife over to do the ceremony because she was a Christian. If you knew how backwards that was to me at that time, but I humbled myself and said, well, the Lord must want to show me something, and I got married by a female Christian to this wonderful woman. When you look back at it, though, it was so funny because I was so much like, no, we must have a rabbi. And when we got the rabbi, he was like
very set in his way of thinking about Christianity and what the Bible said, and he takes things extremely literally.
Yep.
So, yeah.
So when I would read the NIV and then somebody would throw the King James at me, it would throw my head into a funk. Because I was like,
I don't know.
It has to be one way only.
For John, I don't know how many conversations you and Chris may have had.
John and I used to be pretty tight, sharing videos and going back and forth with YouTube and Yoke Up. And
so, yeah, and it is definitely a heavy burden for him. And thank God that he is now sort of thinking less literally. He still takes things a lot literally.
Well, can I be honest?
Yeah.
It's, you guys might think it's a handicap or a burden, but I love it. It's a superpower. It's a...
Well, he's talking about, like John just said, that's heavy burden to put on yourself, taking it literal. Like taking that literal. Like
yeah, but it is a beauty thing to be able to do. When I finally calmed down, it was because Rabbi Peter made it kind of clear to me that I can't win salvation. Now, I know you hear that from every Christian pastor on any given Sunday, but it was the way that Rabbi Peter would express things that got to me and finally broke through. Nevertheless, if I had it, like, I don't like drawing on paper anymore anyways because I love the digital side. I love the quick access to all the tools. I love the quick undos and repeats and everything. But I do feel wonderful that I am not engraving anything on glass. It's just tick, tick, tick.
Tick, tick, tick. So it's coming up to 9:08.
Wow, you did good tonight.
I did very good tonight. Yeah. Normally, I am only on here for an hour.
Yep. We usually do this 8 to 9. I've been showing the read along at the beginning. Tonight I was late, so we only showed it once. Next week, if we continue the YouTube thing, which I think we will, I'll be broadcasting that like 7 to 8, and then we'll do 8 to 9 on the live stream. I think that's pretty much the way to run it, right?
I think
Is that
so.
Angela?
Yeah.
Was she able to get in?
Well, yeah, but she won't comment.
Okay. So we, we're just trying this out. Ultimately, I don't know if we'll stay here. It all depends. I do enjoy using it for art stuff because, as you can see, I have it working quite well with the iPad. And that, that may be just what it ends up being for my live art streams. But we'll find out. We'll see how things go. I think we're going to close off now. What do you think?
Yes. We are. Sorry, I was typing. John, I have this thing like, I know I can speak because we're on video, but if somebody asks me a question,
you want to type it.
I type it. I don't know why. It's an old habit. So, John, I didn't know that about you left the faith in 09.
I didn't know that either.
But I am so glad that you stopped in tonight. We do this every Monday night from 8 to 9. We are now using the YouTube channel. Trying to incorporate, there are a couple people on Facebook. Where did the name Hero Shack come from?
Purely just looking for something original.
Yeah. It was a summer day. We were out on the porch, out on our deck, just relaxing, talking about him starting up a comic series and what can we call it.
And Hero Shack, I had so many ideas based off the name. In fact, I'm still working on how I'm incorporating it into this world. I was going to use it as a name of a restaurant, but I actually have a far better idea that I'm waiting on. Sometimes you got to let the stories kind of unfold themselves, but the name itself, I just like the idea of having a shack full of heroes. In my heart, I guess it might tie into the book, The Shack, a little bit, but I never read it, and I didn't really care for the premise of it.
And we were talking about, like, our greatest hero is still Yeshua,
Amen.
Jesus.
Yeah.
And trying to keep our feet planted firmly where our strength comes from, but yet venture out into the comic book world. So that's where Hero Shack came from.
It's like stepping out into the world. And not wanting to be one of those stereotypical Christians. Like, I watch a lot of Christians making comics right now, and they deal with problems when they say stuff like, pride is a sin on Gay Pride Month.
Yeah.
Why they feel the need to poke the beehive, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because there's plenty of opportunities to poke that every day of the week.
We're not about that. We're not about that at all. We love everybody. We love people.
We're honest, too. It's difficult. Like, one time we had a couple here, and one was gay and the other one was transgender. So the gay one was going with a man who used to be a woman. And it was very confusing. And they asked us what we thought about it. And we told them, we love you. We're not judging you. They wanted to know what we thought God thought about it. And I said, look, we all sin. Mm-hmm. And I think God thinks it's a sin, just like, lying, cheating, stealing. Mm-hmm. And they got mad and left. They wouldn't tolerate that. But even if I'm soft on something, I try to be honest. If I think God thinks it's a sin, and that's not from a pedestal where I go, "Oh, well, I'm sinless, therefore I can tell you." They
had asked your thoughts on it.
Right. I wasn't going to come out and say.
But we told them that we loved them. They were welcomed in our home. We had coffee. We were actually working on a couple of things. We had some things in the work that they wanted to be a part of. For ministry, so it wasn't anything about that. But when they really wanted Chris to marry them, and they
wanted affirmation that God was okay with their relationship, and I can't give that. If God makes it okay in their hearts, that's between them and God. But God's not. I got enough problems of my own. God's not telling me how to fix everybody else's.
Exactly. So on that note, it is 9:12. I am going to turn into
She's getting us offline before I start
John,
preaching.
I'm so tired. I've had a huge day at work today. But we will be back next Monday night.
And actually, I've been streaming a lot more, so keep an eye on maybe popping up here and there.
Yeah, he does. Yep. I'm here only Monday nights from 8 to 9. But it was very nice. I'm glad that you stopped in. I do remember you.
Yeah.
And for the other viewers who are watching that did not say leave a comment, you can always contact us through HeroShack.com. We have a
And
Hero
we're on
Shack
Facebook.
Hero Shack Facebook. You can drop us a message.
And we're on
an
Twitter,
email.
but I don't recommend coming to Twitter because Twitter is a battleground.
Yes.
Yes, it is. Okay, so is that it, honey? You want
Yes.
You want me to say goodnight to our friends?
Yes.
All right, good night, guys. We love you.
Good night, guys.
And we hope to see you soon.
And God
Yes,
bless.
God bless you.
All right.
Check out the comic. Last year's stuff is still free at HeroShack.com.
Oh my God. Bye.